Right. Boom. Boom. And go live. Here we go. Welcome, everyone. The live stream's up and running, and off we go. Let's check the mic stream here real quick. All right, good. We're good here. All right. It's Saturday morning here on Valentine's Day, and I'm recording this episode to you. And I want to shout out to all the dads out there. Saturday morning, I'm going to tell a story about Todd. 9-year-old daughter wants to go to the park. His 15-year-old son wants to shoot hoops in the driveway. And Todd is sitting on the couch, tired, feeling overweight, exhausted from the week, telling himself he'll get up in a minute. Megan, his wife, looks at him from the kitchen and does not say anything. Kind of peeks over, looks in, and peeks back. But he already knows what she's thinking. This is not the dad I want to be. He loves his kids, his wife. He works hard to provide for them, but somehow, somewhere along the line, he stopped being the dad that he wants to be, the dad who plays, the dad who participates. He's the dad who sits on the couch and watches from the sideline or in between scrolling. His schedule isn't the problem. It is what he's doing every morning for the last 3 years that has gotten him into this predicament. He skips breakfast, grabs something quick, sugary, maybe it's just too much caffeine, and it ends up crashing him later in the day. He's hungry by mid morning, trying to grab whatever he can get, hanging on throughout the middle of the day to only get home and feel yet again this way. This episode is about how Todd fixed that with not a meal plan. And we don't restrict anything that you've ever listened to on my show. We're not about restriction. I'm bringing you 5 high protein packed breakfasts that you can actually start off with in a variety of different contexts that you'll be able to use immediately, even after this episode. The Saturday pancakes he makes with the kids, the Sunday egg bake he preps with Megan, the smoothie he drinks on crazy Tuesday mornings with kids running around, not wanting to get dressed for school, and one simple guiding rule that helped him stay on track with this. Welcome to Driven for Health. I'm Coach Brian Piranha. This is episode 70. If you are resonating with this story about Todd and his mornings, you'll resonate with my mornings too. Get up at 6:45, 7, and it's full court press, trying to get kids to school. And then off to that, get into the workflow. So we're talking about breakfast and specifically why 40 grams of protein at breakfast is going to be a lead domino in a sense that's going to affect everything else that is going on in your day. And with this one simple fix, your cravings, your energy, your protein intake for the day, even your fat loss is going to be significantly easier to be a lot more successful. And even, talk about labs, we want blood panels to come back better as well. Now, we're not just talking about theory. You're going to get actual recipes in the show notes. I'll have a Google Doc with a link there that you can grab it. And I'm going to walk you through Todd, who's 45, marketing executive, managing a lot of people and a big budget. He travels a lot for work, 2 kids, wife named Megan, as you've heard. And he was overweight, and his doctor showing some concern about some of his blood panels. And every Monday he'd get up tired, just not feeling great about himself. Todd's a pretty driven person. He needed to figure out the best operating system in a sense to get his day going that fit into the busyness and also make him agile to whatever the challenges were. Let's get into this real quick. If you are driving or working out right now, you don't need to memorize these recipes. All right? Just pause it after this episode, check the show notes. I'm going to put together a free guide, the man's ultimate 5 power breakfast recipes with full ingredients, macros, and prep steps for you to be able to put it into your day. And you can just simply literally go grab it and print it and start using it. Let's jump into the 5 scenarios. The metabolic thermostat. Let's talk about that. Before we get into Todd's kitchen, we need to answer one question. Why 40 grams of protein? Why not just toast and a coffee? Why not a bowl of cereal? Here's a simple way to think about it. Your metabolism is like a campfire. Breakfast is the first thing you throw on the fire in the morning. That wood that you put on the fire being your metabolism, wood being food, and we want the fire to burn. Now, I don't necessarily think you need to have it first thing immediately as soon as you get up or something like that. We need to make sure that you're eating a first meal at some point in the first half of the day that makes sense. If you start with kindling, twigs, sticks, dry leaves, the fire flares up, but it also gets a big hot flame and then it'll burn out. There's nothing that'll constitute it catching on fire, staying on fire. And that's what happens when you have a muffin, a bagel, a bowl of cereal, or a high calorie smoothie king smoothie thing at Jamba Juice. Okay. We don't need that. Your blood sugar goes through the roof. There's no protein to balance it out. Insulin rushes out of your body, and then you come crashing down pretty hard. And this is a morning rotation that so many men that I have do. Hence why I wanted to share this episode. It is a big common theme, just running around, not having a clue on what you should be doing in your day. Protein is the big logs that you put on the fire that burn slow. They have the most highest thermic effect of food, which I talked back in the nutrition pyramid in episodes 5 through 11. And it helps steady the fire, keep it consistently burning, and that stabilizes your blood sugar. Now, why did I have Todd start aiming for around 40 grams of protein at breakfast? Well, once he did that, a few things changed. His mid morning hunger just it eased up a bit. He wasn't just chomping at the bit. He was actually full through lunch. He stopped walking into the afternoon already behind on willpower, already slow to manage the challenges that are coming on. And the afternoon, go into the break room, try and grab whatever was around. The science behind this, higher protein breakfasts or first meals, as I like to call them, around 30 to 40 or even 50 grams, is shown in controlled science backed trials and studies to improve appetite control and even reduce snacking compared to low protein breakfasts or skipping breakfast altogether. Other research shows that spreading your protein more evenly across the day instead of loading it in all at one meal actually improves muscle protein synthesis over the course of a day, not even just the waking hours, the say 16 hours of awake, but 24 hours in the day. And that matters, especially for guys in their 40s, because the body is starting to just wear out. It's starting to slow down. It's starting to pull muscle off the body, especially if you're not strength training. If you want more about strength training, then we jump into episodes 17 through 23 for the strength pyramid. Todd And I made one rule: hit around 40 grams of protein at breakfast, your first meal, whether it was first thing that's waked up or you ate it around 10, it didn't matter. That's not the point. I find that having some understanding of meal timing is when in the day is best for me to schedule my food so I can consistently eat it and have it balanced works great. This is for most people going to be somewhere between a bigger window, 6 to 10, but most people are going to need around 9, 10 o'clock, typically, depending on what your day looks like, or maybe before breakfast, before work, whatever. You wait till that 9, 10 o'clock in the day. That's when I usually eat, is about 10 or 11. Today I ate closer to 11 or so. It was Valentine's Day, and my wife and daughter were so kind to make red pancakes, pink red pancakes. And then we had whipped cream and strawberries. It was delicious. Now I did balance that out with an omelet and a pepper as well. All right. Number one, the first meal here, Saturday morning, pancakes. Okay. It's Saturday morning. Todd is in the kitchen, sweatpants, barefoot, ESPN on in the background. His daughter is sitting on the counter, swinging her legs off the stool. Son walks in and asks, "How many pancakes can we have before the batter is even mixed up?" Right? They're excited. They want this every weekend, dad to make pancakes. And I have done that a number of times. Why? To create memories, some of those core memories of my kids always remember me that I made different types of meals for them and breakfast, especially the first day that they're off from school. And it really helps them. In the old days, Todd would just throw together a big bowl of white flour, sugar, and milk, flip a mountain of pancakes, drown them in syrup. Then by 10:30, 11, he was ready for another nap. Go back to bed because the sugar crash was huge. And just because he had so many carbs in his morning, then he just was on a carb craze there in the day. And that sets you up for not good time, not good success. Now, he still makes pancakes. They just are rearranged a little bit more. There's so many different ways to make high protein pancakes. I would not necessarily suggest doing Kodiak cakes in a sense. I think you're overpaying for basically protein powder and pancakes in a sense, by a lot. It's not even a little bit, it's an actual lot that you actually are. So there's a couple ways to do it. One, rolled oats, cottage cheese, eggs, egg whites. This is the dad mode protein breakfast for this particular one. Cup of rolled oats. He blends them into a flour. You can use a food processor. You could buy oat flour itself. Heck, you could just use the oatmeal as is. Okay. 1 cup cottage cheese, 2 whole eggs, 1.5 cups of egg whites, teaspoon of baking powder. That is important, guys. If you don't do that, they will turn into crepes real quick because they won't rise because of baking powder. Cinnamon, vanilla, if he wants to make it really smell like a Saturday morning. He blends it up until smooth. Cottage cheese disappears, right? We don't want the kids knowing that there's cottage cheese in there. And you can't taste it anyways. And you can't even see it, right? If you put the cottage cheese, if it is, let's say, a larger curd, you can blend it up in a blender and that will help dissipate the curds. Pours them into small circles in a pan. For me, when I'm doing, I usually have the griddle going. I have 2 pans going, so I can get through it a lot. I end up making 3 servings because there's 6 people and everybody wants some, and it takes a lot of time. I'll have a lot of pans on the stove going. They look like the real thing. You throw some blueberries on them. If you wanted to even do a little bit better, we get some high protein yogurt like Too Good Dannon, and bam, you got yourself high protein and it's going to be filling. Now, you could also throw in some, say, ground flaxseed. That would make it even better as well in the mix so that you are enjoying a lot more fiber there. And again, adding the blueberries makes it work really well. This combo lands about 46 grams of protein, 42 carbs, and under 10 grams of fat. That's great. It's about 440 calories. Todd gets a family moment. He gets the pancakes, he gets protein, and he does not get blood sugar roller coaster going on. The kids get some too, and they enjoy it because we throw some whipped cream on there as well, and they really look forward to it. And then out the door, they go to their soccer, their dance, or whatever it is. Real life tip: make a double batch, freeze some of the cooked pancakes, and then you can throw them into the toaster oven, the air fryer to reheat them during the weekday. Bam, there's a cheat code for you. Number two, breakfast number two, Tuesday morning, the 5 minute smoothie. Now let's fast forward. Monday's done because that was crazy. Tuesday, here we are at 7:05 in the morning. Todd has a Zoom at 7:30 with a client. His calendar is stacked. He knows he's not gonna be able to eat until 1 o'clock. He's half dressed too. Got the suit and the tie thing up top and the PJs on the bottom. Now his laptop's updating. His son needed to sign a school form. Daughter can't find her shoes. Pretty typical morning, right? So we skip breakfast normally and just survive on coffee, but instead we grabbed the blender. We threw in this 5 minute meeting proof smoothie protein combo here. Here it is. Again, this will be in the show notes. 1.5 cups or scoops, excuse me, of whey protein. That'll give you almost 40 grams of protein with everything combined in it. Cup of unsweetened almond milk. If you could do other milks as well and creamies it up, you just want to make sure that you are conscious of the caloric impact. Almond milk being 30 calories in a cup, going to skim milk being 90, 3 times more, and then whole milk being 150 per cup. That's 5 times more. So it varies quite a bit. Throw in a full cup of berries, a tablespoon of peanut butter, or you can even throw in a banana in there, ice for thickness, and bam. When you blend this up, hit it for 30 seconds, and off you do. You sign the form, put the shake in the tumbler, and grab your coffee too, because why not? Kisses to Megan, and out to the office he goes. That one smoothie can give him about 44 grams of protein, 35 grams of carbs, and 14 grams of fat, about 400, 430 calories, depending on the portions you put in it. The real win, though, is that he's not just on coffee and a bagel or something by 10 a.m. and then he's inhaling pastries in the break room. He's able to log into Zoom. He's got a productive meeting. He's got to focus because he has some blood glucose going to his brain because of the fruit and all, but not a rush of sugar. And he was able to manage all the crazy of that day. Number three here, the weekend egg bake. It's Saturday night. The house is finally quiet. All parents know this one. Kids are upstairs. Maybe they're doing their homework or they're playing video games or they're watching a family movie or they're ready for bed, in bed. Any of those. Todd and Megan are in the kitchen and they're at the cutting board, tag teaming it, and they are making a bunch of egg bakes. All right. They're talking, they're connecting, and they're both tired, but they want to make sure that they have options and opportunities for them to be good come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So they build the night before the egg bake that you can eat with one hand. That's the cool part about this. You could literally take the egg bake and throw it out, pull it out of the refrigerator, throw some hot sauce on it, and go to town. Simple and easy enough. All right. When we have a large dish and we multiply the servings to fit 4 to 6 servings, then voila, then we have a lot of different opportunities that you can just put in the fridge or in the freezer for later in the week. The recipe is this: we've got 5 large eggs, 2 cups of egg whites, 1 cup low fat cottage cheese, 8 ounces of turkey sausage, lean turkey sausage, cooked and crumbled. 1 ounce of shredded cheese to go on top so you get that cheesy taste throughout. And we'll throw in a couple cups of spinach, 3 peppers, 2 onions. We want those whole pieces of vegetables, okay? Because they're voluminous, they keep you full, there's fiber to them, they add volume to that. A little bit of salt, pepper, garlic to taste. Throw it in and bake it, and off we go. 375 for about 30 to 40 minutes. Cheat code here, put it in parchment paper and spare yourself having to clean out the casserole dish. When you pull it out, you just cut it into the number of squares that you need. This one being about 4. Each square for this typical recipe is going to be about 41 grams of protein. It's pretty low in carbs because there's just peppers and onions and cottage cheese. Cottage cheese does have some carbs in it, and about 14 grams of fat because there's some fat in the eggs, of course, and the turkey sausage typically. And if you go with a low, no fat cottage cheese, you'll keep the fat down. If you go with a little bit higher fat cottage cheese, then obviously it'll go up. Calories on one of these squares can range 3 to 400 calories depending on how voluminous they are. Now, in the morning, you can take it straight out of the fridge. You can put it into the microwave if you want, and about a minute later, and you're eating it, and it takes a minute to go. So literally 3 minutes worth of time. You have your egg bake gone and done, and it's one less decision you need to make. Episode 61, I talked about decision fatigue when it comes to food, and that's a real thing. Okay. So this is a powerful way to strategically make the week strong. Number 4, the Proats bowl before lift. Different Saturday, it's 8:15 in the morning, and you got some time blocked off to go to the gym. Whether you're lifting weights or doing some cardio, doesn't matter. But we don't want to necessarily lift on an empty stomach, especially if you woke up at 7 o'clock or so. You can get a little bit of calories in you so they can really boost the effort in the workout. This makes Sunday or Saturday, the weekend Proats, Proats, like protein oats, Proats bowl. Here's the move. You have half cup rolled oats, which is about 150 calories, dry, 1 cup of whey protein powder, half cup of plain. I like Two Good yogurt, vanilla yogurt would mix just fine there. A cup of berries, a tablespoon of flaxseed or chia seed, a little bit of cinnamon if you want, milk or water as needed, depending on where your calories are at and needs are. Now, 2 different ways. You can eat this straight up. You can cook the oats first too. You can pour some hot water in the oatmeal and let those sit. I'm too lazy to be honest. I just eat oatmeal like cereal, and I'll just go through it. Or you can sprinkle the oats on top of the combination here with the yogurt and all, and then that'll get you to the that with the protein powder will get you a more of like a parfait like experience depending on how much you have. All right. You stir everything together and it will be kabam. 5 minutes, probably within 10 minutes, you're all good. Now, that bowl, the Proats bowl, is about 43 grams of protein, 46 carbs, 4 grams of fat, and are close to 400 calories. Enough carbs to fuel your workout for sure and give you consistent energy throughout. Enough protein to really help make sure that you're preserving protein and even starting to rebuild it on the back end to maintain your muscle and all that hard work you did in the gym. You don't need to overthink this. You just can, before or after, it really doesn't matter. Maybe you don't like to eat on a lift on a heavy stomach. That's fine. Then just eat it right after. Take it with you and eat this bowl right after. And this will be a slam dunk recovery bowl. So any day that you're working out in the morning, this could be a really good thing to do. I always suggest having starchy carbs oatmeal, as an example, around your workouts so that you can use those carbohydrates to fuel activity. At number 5, the airport protein kit. This is the on the go. This could be at a hotel as well, or just a grab and go. You had to race out the door to go on a drive to meet a meeting. Any of this works. All right. You're at the airport. You're traveling. Now, Todd travels 2 to 3 times a month, and he's in hotels. They got client meals. There's time zone shifts. There's a lot of things that he has to pay attention to and stay alert and manage his calories along the way. We were able to give him a eating on the go guide, which I have. If you want, you can have that. You just got to email me, Brian at brianprana.com. I'll send you over. It's a 28-page eating on the go guide, very in depth on detailing a lot of different things, some from eating on the road, at the airport, at different restaurants, fast food, fast casual, fine dining, all sorts of different things. Again, just email me, Brian at brianproduct.com, and I will send it over. All right. Now, one simple rule that we have here just goes back to everything: 40 grams of protein, especially when he's traveling. Let's get it in by 9 a.m. Why? Because he doesn't know what his day is going to look like. It's going to be variable. There's always a wrench that gets thrown in it. Another meeting gets stacked on top of another one. Things delay, and having a strong start that day will help keep him mentally focused and aware. What does this look like? A non-fat Greek yogurt. You can find those at the airport for sure. Sometimes in hotels. You can get them at the convenience store if you're on the road. You have two hard-boiled eggs. Definitely can find those at the airport or at a hotel. And beef jerky. Again, you can find those pretty readily available. And all these things, I haven't even mentioned a protein shake once per se. Let's say like a pre-made one. All right. So we can get these things available and you can eat them in a very quick time to get tons of protein in. This combination will land you about 40 grams of protein, 11 carbs, 18 grams of fat, and be somewhere in the 300 to 400 calories. Jerky may or may not always be the perfect thing to do, but when you're on the road, it is ideal. It does have higher sodium sometimes, but if blood pressure is a concern, then you have to obviously be careful about it. But if it's not, then just make sure you're drinking lots of water, please. When you're on the road, I tell Todd to drink easily 100 ounces, but more like a gallon to help manage fullness, manage energy, manage not overeating at dinner, things like that. It's just not a good idea. The point is to be aware, have intention, stay focused on what is most important to you, which is your health, your belly fat, and getting yourself back in a really fit shape. Okay. We don't want to be distracted by the piles of pastries and such. A good example is yesterday. I went to a swim meet and timed on the event. I was there for 6 hours. Now, I worked out in the morning because I knew I wasn't going to be moving much. I literally stood. Now, funny enough, they have this plunger thing and you press it to when the kid touches the mat on the wall after they finished up, you have to press the plunger button to stop the timer. That thing was on the ground and I squatted and picked it up. There are 95 heats. Okay. So I did about 100 squats, got myself a workout there. But when I went there, this is literally yesterday, they had donuts, they had those coffee cinnamon cake things, they had granola, chewy granola bars, they had all sorts of different cookies, a bunch of garbage. They did have subs, turkey subs at lunch on bread, and they did have nuts and seeds, a little packet of that. That's what I actually started off with. I started off with that. That held me over until the lunchtime, which was about an hour later after we got through initial, say 25, 30 events. Cause there's like 95 plus. So what happens was I did that. Then at lunchtime, I grabbed a sub. I did scoop out some of the bread in the top part of the bun to thin it out and cut some of the carbs down. I just knew that I was gonna have carbs later in the night too, and I that was just a really easy hack to do, or I could have just had that half the bun as well and have it an open faced sandwich. It would have actually worked really well. I had that. I had tons and tons of grapes, a couple handfuls of grapes, and I had as much as I could legally grab of carrots and cucumbers without feeling like I was hogging all of it. Okay. That filled me up for the remainder of the event, and I was able to not grab the coffee cake things and all the packaged donuts and the ding dongs and the little Debbie things or whatever. So there's a real life example of how I managed yesterday. Let's recap all of this stuff. If we zoom back, a science backed recap of why this matters. Zooming out, Todd was challenged in the beginning. He had no rhythm or routine or systems to make this work and be effective. There are 5 different scenarios in your week that you probably can identify with if you listen to my podcast. Saturday with kids, rushed weekdays, Sunday prep time, training for your exercise workouts and stuff, and travel days. I specifically laid that out so that you could see that you could get 40 grams without taking a lot of time. There is some time you have to eat to live, so you have to prepare food one way or another, but we can work around real life constraints in your life. From the research side, it does a few things. First, appetite and cravings go lower. Higher protein breakfasts, over 30 grams of protein, have been shown to improve satiety, reduce ghrelin, and episode 40, give me one second. Episode 47 has 7 hormones that you need to know about to help manage your hunger and burn fat. Ghrelin is the gremlin, it's the hunger hormone, and leptin is the fullness hormone. Ghrelin will signal to you that you are hungry. And if you have the protein in there, it help cut down those cravings. That's the hunger hormone, ghrelin. Now, this will help control the evening and late night snacks as well. All right. Second, muscle and metabolism. Once you're over 40, your body is less responsive, and having smaller hits of protein throughout the day, getting 30, 40, 50 grams in one time helps with protein synthesis and allowing your body to maximize it. That's why I always suggest having 3 or possibly 4 meals in a day to be able to easily hit your protein goals and not just dump a gigantic steak in at dinner time. Okay. You will be well better off by spreading out the protein throughout the day. Third, your blood sugar levels and long term risk. When you manage your a powerful breakfast like this and start with that heavy protein instead of refined carbs, you will manage your blood sugar levels significantly. They'll be closer to 100 to 100, maybe 20, and they might not even go over 150 after you get done eating. Now, if you monitor your blood sugar levels like a type 2 diabetic or something, or you're pre diabetic or anything like that, you know exactly what those numbers look like, and you do not want them to go over 200. I've literally had people in 300, and that's not a good thing. This will help also with managing the glycemic concern with certain foods, because if you have it with protein and fiber, it will help quite a bit. Now, guys like Todd, they unfortunately they're so focused on work that they end up mindlessly snacking throughout the day, and it really challenges their fat loss experience, and that's why they may have failed in the past. Is they go white knuckle hardcore and they restrict all these things, and they don't have a good plan, a long term plan of what it is, and this is what it is. All right. The new normal for you, listening in. Here's your move. You don't need to memorize the nutrition like a textbook, okay? We need 2 things. A simple rule: start your day with, say, 40 grams of protein at breakfast, and a small menu of different breakfasts that fit into your actual life. I gave you 5 that you can model. For Todd, the protein pancakes on Saturdays were a hit with the kids. The 5-minute smoothie was super easy to grab and go while still keeping him full for a couple hours while he has meetings. The egg bake that he and his wife would share throughout the week was super duper easy just to have ready to grab, and he didn't have to think at all in the morning. The Proats bowl, the protein oatmeal bowl, was the go to when he was working out. And the airport protein kit survival there was what we did for airplanes, travel, hotels. Your versions could look a little bit different, but again, in the show notes, you'll be able to grab a link to a Google Doc that you can now use these. All right. Now, this will help you literally, it'll change the way you interact with food, with your blood sugar levels, with protein, with staying on track a lot easier. And you don't have to fear about living in type 2 diabetes or your weight creeping up either. You can just win with your first meal of the day and have it, you control it rather than it control you. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that these 5 protein packed breakfasts really do work for you. I'd love to hear in the comments. You mentioned about how they did it. Email me, download the guide, and I will catch you in episode 71 soon enough.